My neighbor said my Christmas lights were too happy and ruining her divorce, then took me to court. Last December, my neighbor Linda sued me because my Christmas lights were too happy, and according to her, they ruined her divorce. I wish I were joking. Linda lived next door and was in the middle of a nasty divorce, and our whole street had been hearing it for weeks. There were late-night screaming matches in the driveway, doors slamming, and one night, her husband sped off so hard he left tire marks by the curb. My kids kept asking why the neighbors were always fighting, and the whole block felt tense. So I decided to go big on Christmas decorations and try to make the street feel normal again. I put up about 15,000 LED lights, 3 inflatable Santas, a glowing reindeer family, candy cane lights, and a synced music show that played once every hour from 6 to 9. My electric bill was painful, but my kids loved it. Neighbors stopped to take pictures, and cars slowed down so kids could watch the lights through the windows. People were smiling again, which was the whole point. Linda hated it almost immediately. First, she filed an HOA complaint, saying my display was excessive and violated neighborhood standards. I checked the rules, and holiday decorations were allowed until January 15th, so the HOA closed her complaint. After that, she started coming outside at the exact same time every night when I turned the lights on. At first, I thought she was walking her dog, but then I noticed she was taking photos of my house from different angles. One night, she was recording voice notes while pointing at the display. Another night, she had a little tripod. Then, on a Tuesday around 8 p.m., right when the music started and the yard lit up, Linda stormed over yelling. She said my obnoxious display of happiness was making her look unstable during her divorce because she kept complaining about it. She said her lawyer told her to stop talking about my lights, and somehow that became my fault. She demanded I take everything down that night and said if I didn't, she'd make me regret it. I told her I was sorry she was having a hard time, but the decorations were legal, and my kids loved them. She pointed at the inflatable Santa and said I was doing this to mock her. I was standing there holding a cup of hot chocolate, thinking this couldn't be real. 2 weeks later, there was a loud knock during dinner. A process server handed me a thick envelope. Linda was suing me for $8,000 plus legal fees. Her claim said my Christmas display caused severe emotional distress and interfered with her peaceful enjoyment of her property. She wanted money for therapy bills, punitive damages, and other losses she said I caused by creating a hostile environment. I read the papers 3 times because I thought I had to be missing a page. I wasn't. I hired a local attorney the next morning, and even he paused after reading it. Then he said, well, this is new. As we prepared for court, it got even more absurd. Linda had time-stamped photos showing exactly when my lights turned on each night. She had audio clips of the hum from one inflatable motor. She bought a light meter online and wrote down brightness readings from her driveway. She even printed neighborhood posts calling my display festive, and her lawyer tried to use that as proof I was putting on a public show to upset her. My attorney asked if I had ever threatened her, pointed lights at her windows, or broken any HOA rules. No, to all of it. The music was timed, short, and off early every night. Still, I had to take time off work and spend real money answering a lawsuit because my neighbor didn't like Christmas joy existing next door. Before the hearing, her lawyer sent a settlement email saying she'd drop the case if I paid part of what she wanted and cut the display down. My attorney told me not to respond. A few days later, Linda stood at the property line with a notebook while my kids were hanging ornaments, writing things down and staring at us. When the hearing day came, Linda showed up with a folder so thick it looked like a school project. Her lawyer spread out photos of my house, families taking selfies, and kids standing by the reindeer like those pictures were evidence of a crime. He argued that my display was intentionally provocative and caused her emotional harm during a difficult divorce. Then Linda stood up and said seeing happy families outside my house reminded her that her marriage was over and that I should be responsible for what that did to her mental health. The judge looked at her lawyer and asked if he was seriously asking the court to punish a neighbor for legal Christmas decorations in December. The room went quiet. Even Linda's lawyer looked embarrassed. My attorney barely had to say anything. The judge dismissed the case in under 10 minutes and called it frivolous. Linda turned toward me like she wanted to start all over again, but the bailiff stepped forward and told everyone to clear the aisle. Now some neighbors are saying I should have taken the lights down. Was I wrong?